SMD Law is the official law firm of the Spartan Nation. Check them out on the interwebs at smdalaw.com or at 866-529-3537. No matter where you are in the state of Michigan, Upper Peninsula, Lower Peninsula, it doesn't matter. They have an office near you. So whether you need to send a letter to an annoying neighbor, or you're a criminal and you need defense, maybe you just have problems with elder law, check them out, smdalaw.com today. The official law firm of the Spartan Nation. Call them first, then you act.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome back to Spartan Nation Radio. We're so pleased to bring in Spartan Nation senior writer Johnny Shop. The last time he was on the show, he previewed the Big Ten West. Boy, that was a big one. John, do you want to reflect on that with everybody, what your predictions were?
No, it's toss-up city. It's a toss-up city. I do think the X factor in the West is the quarterback play at Northwestern, the major five-star recruit transfer quarterback who is going to be probably taking over and doing very well. So, no, I'll leave it right where it's there. I mean, this is the biggest toss-up division going into the season in the Power 5 is your Big Ten West. It should be entertaining. That's all I ask, is that they entertain us supremely.
I agree. Okay, John, let's start with number 7. We're going to get your predictions for the Big Ten East.
Well, here's the thing. The balance of power, as we talked about for months now, is in the balance. It's up in the air in the Big Ten East. What is going to happen? Because you got things that have changed greatly. Urban Meyer is a huge change. Justin Fields, who is either the number 1 or number 2 quarterback recruit in the country before last season to a guy named Trevor Lawrence, is somehow eligible to play at Ohio State this fall. You have Trace McSorley, the Martin Cleaves of Penn State football, gone. So you got a new quarterback there. It's all up in the air. You got Michigan State with a big question mark next to them, and you've got Michigan probably with some more pressure on them and heat on them than they felt.
Hey, John, hold on just a second. You went out there on us. Go ahead again.
Well, you got Ohio State with the Justin Fields factor and no Urban Meyer. You've got Penn State losing the Martin Cleaves of their football program and Trace McSorley, who's been a quarterback at Penn State. You got Michigan State with its giant question mark at the quarterback position relative to production. Then you've got Michigan with some pressure and with a new offense and with some question marks. Do not forget that the starting running back for Michigan football is not going to be a member of the team this fall. So I look at it this way, Honda. This is how I broke this down with the 4 teams that are going to compete for the East. When I look at the schedules for Michigan State, University of Michigan, and Penn State, I see about 6 games that could kind of go either way. I see about 6 games that are up in the air and in the balance, if you will. When I look at Ohio State's schedule, I only see 4 for them. And I think that makes the difference at the end of the day. A combination of schedule and a combination of Justin Fields in November is probably going to be somewhat superior, especially when you're talking about superior to the guy we're going to see in September and October. So I give the slight edge to Ohio State Mickey this year.
All right, who do you think finishes second?
Well, you can look at the schedule and look at the East, and if it was the D'Antonio Meyer era, you would say, all right, well, it's going to come down to Michigan State and Ohio State. They play more in the middle of the season this year. I would say that the Spartans have a great chance to be second place. I think that they are going to beat Penn State, and I think they've got a fantastic chance, and I've already picked them to beat Michigan. Let me tell you why. Michigan State is very strange with the bye week schedule that they have this year, as people know, and if they don't, just wait until October and early November. As a result, Penn State, they got them right where they want them. They're off the week before, they're off the week after, they're at home. Michigan State's going to beat Penn State there. If Michigan State is playing well, they're going to do okay with the bye week because after the bye week, they are going to handle Illinois easily. Then you've got Michigan, and after Michigan, you've got Rutgers and even Maryland after that. So the schedule does Michigan State some favors in preparing for Michigan. That's why I got the Spartans second, and I got to go with Michigan third because I don't know what we're going to get out of Penn State relative to the quarterback position. I don't know if they're that much better up front, as James Franklin was trying to sell that they are, to make a difference and get them past those other teams. I don't think replacing Trace McSorley is going to be easy. Go ahead and call me crazy. So that's the order I'm going to run with. Ohio State thanks to schedule mostly and a little bit of Justin Fields, Michigan State, Michigan, and Penn State is rounding out the top 4 in the Big Ten East.
You and I are in complete agreement on the top 4.
That is unbelievable. Really?
Yep.
Wow. Now, people think we rehearsed this stuff or discussed this. Absolutely did and do not. We don't. Because I was like, when you look at the schedule, especially for Ohio State, it stands out to me that they've got an easier road than the others do that are competing for it. And then when you look at Michigan State, you're like, well, that bye week works pretty well. So if they're going along well, they're not going to be toppled or worn out when they get to play Michigan, because it's not that Illinois is a bye week, but if they're playing well on November 9th, the starters are not going to be working all 60 minutes hosting Illinois. So the balance of the power, that's the bottom line. In the most exciting and the best division in the sport, the balance of power is right up in the air. And what happens this year is going to be overhyped, and people are going to oversell it as whatever team won this year is going to be the future of the Big Ten East for the coming season. But in reality, the balance of power is straight up in the air, and it's going to be very interesting to see who is man, who is mouse, who stands tall, and who has a silly little fall.
John, who do you think comes in 5th?
I gotta think that it's going to be Maryland. And the reason I say that is when I look at Indiana's schedule, I don't like it. Indiana starts Big Ten play in what I would call a difficult situation, playing Ohio State. On national TV, Justin Fields is going to make some noise. Look out. Look out on that one. And the end of their schedule is not really good. They're at Penn State, they host Michigan, and then they go to Purdue. So I got Maryland just above Indiana. And then at the bottom of the barrel again, I do see Rutgers, although I like what they have done with their schedule in that they have winnable games spread out a little bit, even though Liberty is not in the Big Ten, not near it yet. They're on their schedule. They've got a shot against Illinois. I think they got a shot against UMass, and then they have a shot somewhere else who could win more than 2 games this year.
I agree with you. Let me ask you this, John. So this is your order of prediction. We only disagree on one. You have Ohio State, Michigan, Penn State, Maryland, Indiana, and Rutgers. I have Indiana and Maryland flip-flop, but we're in total agreement. Of the coaches in the Big Ten East, who's on the biggest hot seat? Is it Rutgers? Who is it?
Yeah, that's a good question. I can't imagine it's going to be Tim Allen, head coach at Indiana. Their schedule is brutal. He's gotten them to play very hard. The only way I can see that guy being on the hottest seat is if something bad happens and if it just goes really far south and they don't compete. Otherwise, you have to look at Chris Ash at Rutgers, and I don't know if you ever make a change at the head coach position at Rutgers, you got to be absolutely positive that you are either upgrading the coach substantially or bringing something that the other guy absolutely cannot bring. I'm not sure why Chris Ash went to Rutgers. I imagine if he would have stayed an assistant, he might have found a much better job. But he's got to be there at least a decade, I would think, to get them into a competitive situation. So although he may be on a hot seat, I know that there's been people that have discussed his potential of being replaced or not. I can't imagine that's going to be him unless there's some kind of administration change there. So I don't know. Maybe we're going to be surprised greatly, but those are the 2 guys when you look at it that you have to look at as the clear candidates. I don't see anybody else in the league really being hot, and obviously there's a couple of new coaches as well.
John, I'm going to ask you this question. I don't believe I think you and I are in total agreement. Michigan doesn't have a better option than Jim Harbaugh, period. There isn't one.
No.
But if he loses to Ohio State and Michigan State again this year, which I think he will, and I also think he's going to probably lose to Notre Dame. But if he loses to 2 of his 3 rivals, at what point, I don't think he's in any danger of getting fired, but at what point will his golden shine come off with the Michigan fan base?
It'll be off by then because his record against top 10 teams and his record against those 3 is going to be poor if he loses. And I've got him, I think he's going to they're probably going to lose 2 of those 3. That's kind of where you think it would fall. It's going to be a difficult pill to swallow, and that would be a pill that Michigan football fan base has failed to swallow in the past. I think back not that long ago, although it was some time ago, and people just elated when Lloyd Carr was retiring. Like, oh man, Lloyd Carr didn't do anything with the talent he had. One of the worst coaches in college football. And I said, excuse me, one of the worst coaches in college football? Are you crazy? And we heard some of the same stuff about Mark Richt at the end of his term at Georgia. So what I mean by using that example is that the pill that Michigan football will have to swallow, if that is the case, is one that says, hey, we're not actually on that top shelf anymore. It's not 1993. It's not before that. We're battling to fight on that top shelf, but we're not on the top shelf. We're not the class of our league. And if that happens, I'm curious how the fan base is going to react. I don't think they're going to blame Harbaugh. I think, if their offense struggles at all, the new offensive coordinator there is going to catch some heat. They're not going to, and Harbaugh does a great job of protecting his guys as far as from taking blame, his coaching staff, it seems. So I think it'd be a difficult pill for them to swallow, but the reality would be, at this time, regardless of everything they've tried to do at Michigan, they're just not quite measuring up with the other three schools in what I love to call the college football triangle. I call that the space between Columbus, South Bend, and East Lansing, and then you've got Ann Arbor in the mix there if you can draw a funny-shaped triangle like I do.
His name is Johnny Schaub, Spartan Nation. Johnny Schaub, Spartan Nation.